Good evening.
Yo.
All right. So Steven, this is notes for the editor. When we are starting episodes and having these general conversations, have a slow fade into this instead of that hard cut directly in.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little bit more of a slow fade into, like, it's like people are distanced back and then kind of coming into the conversation more. It's more inviting. It opens up the room a little bit more. It adds some pizzazz.
So like somebody's like walking into the conversation,
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
If we had an additional conversation overlaying that, what would have been funnier is if you had just faded in John's channel and everybody else was the same. So he's like faintly talking in the background.
These are all very good notes to the editor. Thank you.
Yeah, these are great.
Wait, since when did you want this to be inviting?
Since, we're now public and we want to have an audience, we don't want to just be like, oh, hey, somebody's here. Oh, that's neat. Anyway.
It's the
one episode and he's changed already, guys.
The old bait and switch. I like it. I mean, yes, you welcome everyone. We want you to be here, and we're very happy that you're here. Please stay.
Happy is a very interesting way
Yeah,
to describe it.
happy referring to anything is
It's more of like, please don't go.
Speaking of going, I think it's time to hit a button.
Which one?
I was gonna say, hit the button.
That's what the editor's for. Welcome to the Hostility Morning Podcast. I'm your host, John, joined you today by...
Nathan.
Matthew.
Ian,
And Steven.
why
See-
was that so sudden?
I left them like on their heels. They're like, wait, the audio stopped, but nothing is going right now. Maybe they had an issue. No, it was just me. I honestly got a little too comfortable leaning all the way back in the chair. These chairs are actually like very, very nice. I've been very impressed with the $20
Somebody
chairs.
either stole or tweaked with my chair.
No, again, we had musical
I-
chairs. We had people over.
I don't appreciate it.
And listen, this
You
is
get
what
over it.
happens when you don't properly label stuff. We don't have like a number chart. We don't have
Wait,
like
wait.
nameplates on the back of chairs.
You don't have a label maker?
I have a label maker. Nothing's labeled.
Seems like a waste of a label maker to me.
No, it's a perfect. Listen, there are two types of people with label makers. One who labels everything, and then the other who labels nothing.
And then there's the person that labels everything and forgets to bring it.
That is also fair. That's completely fair. As someone over there that may have a small audio change, in this episode, it's okay. He doesn't talk as much as what he really should. Hi, Ian. There it is.
Really? Really?
That's all I have to say to that.
Well,
That's staying in.
that has to stay in. You know what else stays in? Us referencing, we're live officially.
Yay!
We had an actual first episode, and that is now posted as of January 17th. This is a moment to remember. We finally did something right by publicly putting our voices out and waiting on the inevitable. Oh, we said something we shouldn't have, and now someone's mad at us.
What do the YouTube statistics look like so far?
Not great. The statistics say we watched our podcast.
Yeah. We got one like, but when I looked at it last, I haven't looked at it today. I looked at it yesterday, but the last night when I looked at it, we had one like and 0 views.
That's impressive.
So
So-
somebody liked the video without even watching it.
What constitutes a view on YouTube? Is it a percentage of the video?
I
So
don't know,
it
but I think,
is, I
you have
believe,
to watch so much of it.
I think it's like you have to get past, again, don't quote me on this, you have to get past a certain like threshold for it to count as a view. It's not, you click on video, immediately close it. I think it's something like 5 to 15 seconds of retention.
Oh, that's shorter than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's not very long. But again, do not quote me on that. I have to go back and re-reference this. A lot of my knowledge of how the YouTube algorithm and the YouTube studio space worked is like 8 years old.
We currently have 5 views and no likes.
Woohoo!
Wait, so are people
So-
disliking
What?
it?
So
Someone
quite
unliked it?
literally, we can only go up from here.
It's true. It's true.
If you disliked the show, and you would like to let us know why you disliked the show, Nathan, how should they reach out to us?
Info at. Do we have Hostility in the Morning set up?
It'll be set up. Yeah, just send them to there.
Yeah, info at hostilityinthemorning.com. We will probably have a better email address set up by the time this actually airs. We shall see.
Leave a comment on YouTube as well. Drive the engagement and everything. Don't just dislike and bounce.
Like, subscribe. Always check the description because we have notes. You have ways to get in contact with us, ways to leave feedback. All of the information that you need will be in the descriptions, and that'll be not only just on YouTube, but on Spotify and like Apple Podcasts. All your main podcasting platforms, we are planning to be on there for you. So go ahead and hit us up there. You can also reach us over on Substack. We have a dedicated Hostility in the Morning site for you guys that will have all of our main posts, any updates, things of that nature. You can find us on Substack. And again, that is at Hostility in the Morning.
Don't be a bad user. If you dislike something, leave a comment.
Yeah, if we're gonna teach the users anything, or the listeners, whatever we want to call them, right? We're gonna teach them anything. We need to teach them how to hate something correctly.
Exactly. Okay, that leads me into an interesting question. Because all of us have been in support roles for a decent amount of time. And we have worked with support vendors and other representatives multiple times. How many of you guys actually fill out the little survey at the very end?
I actually have every now and
I
again.
think I probably have more than I haven't. Like if it's a automated thing of like, how was your experience? I don't care. But if I was actually talking to a person, then I'll usually take the time to say, hey, they're good. Because usually if I talk to a person, there's very, very few times I've been disappointed. It may have taken longer to get a resolution than I would have liked, but I wasn't disappointed and I did get a resolution. That's the thing,
I don't think I've ever done one of those surveys. I'm just cynical, and I think that, I have the expectation of, you should be striving to be good at your job and helpful, and that's what you're paid for. So if you were helpful, you just did your job.
Yeah.
So you're one of those people that turns this into a thankless job.
If you did what you were paid for, you did what you were paid for. If you went to above and beyond, I'll give you a good review.
Yeah.
If you didn't and irritated the crap out of me, you're getting a bad review. Like, for example, I recently purchased a new wallet, one of the extra push-out wallets.
Oh yeah, your fancy quick draw wallet.
Yeah, my fancy quick draw wallet. And I stabbed Steven with it tonight.
It's true.
And I got an automated survey email from them before I received the product asking me to review it. So I left them a nice review of 1 star saying, don't send an automated freaking email when because I can track it with the tracking number from your website. You have access to this. Don't send the automation. So I actually got a good response to that survey from their support and was like, you know what? Thank you for passing this along.
Are you sure that wasn't an automated response?
It could have been an automated response. Now, on the other hand, I actually always fill out the surveys, but there's a very stark difference in how I fill them out. If it is a good support rep, I pretty much just keep clicking the 5 stars button until it dumps me to the very end and I move on my way. However, if this was a bad interaction, I write a novel of everything you did wrong, how you did it wrong, how you should have done it better, how you treated me through the entire endeavor, and in reality, sometimes even put recommendations there that this person probably shouldn't continue in their role. If they've done like
This
really,
doesn't
really bad.
surprise me.
You remember that Cox rep?
Oh, the second one that came? The first one that actually came out here, super nice guy.
When you were over at my apartment.
Oh, when you were setting up your connection for the first time?
Yeah, because they were using that stupid panorama Wi-Fi crap.
Okay. I'm just going to say this. If your network equipment requires you, and the only way you can set it up is via your smartphone, you have designed an absolute stupid network device. Again, I have no problem if you want to provide multiple options of onboarding a user into the device. So if you want to use an app via your smartphone, fine. If you want me, if it's available, I can plug my laptop directly into it and log into either an SSH session or via a web page. However, If it is network related, I should have some way to direct connect it via a laptop or desktop that doesn't require me whipping out a smartphone, installing an app, and typing in some basic information on there and having to wave my phone around multiple different ways just so I can have Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's the wrong. I think it's the wrong move. It's the wrong direction for even some of these more budget, made for everybody type devices for the home to strictly cater to those people that have no knowledge or interest in managing the stuff. Like, stop taking away features from professionals.
I think that's the important distinction there is the strictly catering, right? Like it's
Yeah.
very nice to have the app, and I think that's something to point out. Having the app is great. Having the convenience is great. It's like what we were talking about. Maybe that was last episode where it was mouse and keyboard, where maybe this may have been a non-existent episode, but the dumbing down of the power user features
Yeah.
in an effort to appease the dumb users, right? There should be a happy medium in between the two where you can have both without one coming at the expense of the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, if you have a platform that was originally built for, like you were talking about, like a more traditional interface where you get in there and you can really change settings and mess with stuff, but you're trying to make your product more user friendly to those that don't understand what that is or how to use it. Don't get rid of the existing format that allows power users and professionals to do that. Just build on top of it. I mean, it's a UI. I mean, we've talked about
Yeah.
building UIs and what those are, what those really are at
You
their
can-
core. Just build on top of it. Just have an easy mode. I mean, heck, you see
Yes.
that in consumer like motherboard BIOS is it starts in the easy mode and then you hit advanced, or you can take a little thing and then it gives you all the bells and whistles.
Asus's is literally called easy mode.
Yeah.
Well, so is Gigabytes, and they work. And one thing that those BIOS manufacturers have also done, a lot of them started putting little QR codes in their BIOS that you can scan and takes you right to the manual, and also sometimes takes you directly to the page of like the screen that you're seeing. Which again, that is very user intuitive and forgiving for them because you're getting that information direct right there. However, you're also not blocking off access to those more advanced features. You have to hit one extra button, or say like going back to the network appliance. Anyone who manages those appliances, especially that's provided by the ISP, you have those configuration pages. You have access to them right there. The only thing you're doing is barring me, the consumer who uses that device, of accessing that same information from my own computer. You're requiring me to do it in one method, one way that is tailored for either a parent who's not very tech savvy or somebody who just wants the most basic, easy, quick start guide setup they possibly can, while you're barring out literally everyone else who wants to say, okay, onboard my device, I have my laptop, I want to plug into it, I want to connect. Oh no, I can't do that unless I start working on my smartphone.
But in this case, with the panoramic Wi-Fi, it's not even that. It's the fact that you have to connect to an unsecured network. In my example, it was a relatively low pop apartment where there's only 16 units. Yeah, 16 units total in my immediate vicinity. But if somebody's in a high population apartment in a large city, you've got potentially hundreds of people that you don't know within range of that Wi-Fi router that is now unsecured that they can connect to and get access in there before you've even set it up. That's the biggest issue with the panoramic Wi-Fi and how it was set up.
Yeah, and I mean it's something not necessarily that specific configuration, but this is a trend that seems to be becoming more popular amongst ISPs. Because my parents just got new internet, a new ISP kind of opened up on that side of the state.
What's an ISP?
Internet service provider.
Thank you. Continue.
Some others say ISP. Thank you.
Another ISP opened on the other side of the state, and they've finally been able to get real internet. They've had to suffer through satellite internet for decades, unfortunately.
Wasn't it fiber too? I think you said.
Yes, they've gone from HughesNet, which is satellite internet that at best last I looked at their site, they were saying that the best you get speed is like 25 megabit down.
Ooh.
Up, I don't even know what up is, just a toss up whether it'll upload or not. And they had to pay like per gigabyte. Their plans are just gigabyte, they're just data plans. Like everyone gets the same speed or up to speed, and it's just however much data you pay for. It's a racket, is what it is. Anyway, they went from that to symmetrical gigabit fiber. And anyway, but
What's symmetrical gigabit fiber? Because I've actually never heard the term before.
so when you have a internet connection, you have an upload speed and a download speed. And traditionally, with copper internet or DSL, with most traditional internet services, your download speed is higher than your upload speed, because earlier in the days of the internet, there wasn't things like streaming and stuff like that, and the upload function of a connection wasn't that important. It was mostly the download function. That was where most of the data was streaming. So their speed that they're allotting you, the bandwidth they're allotting you, is geared towards the download and not so much the upload. When with streaming and stuff, the advent of that, upload is just as important because there's data going back and forth. So symmetrical just means that your download speed and your upload speed are the same, instead of traditionally the download speed being higher than the upload speed.
Nice.
So anyway, they got this service, and they by default, the Wi-Fi that comes, the standard Wi-Fi that comes on the access point, you cannot change the password.
That's dumb.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it does not have a way for you to get it. So like what you're talking about, getting into like any management, it blocks you from it. You have to
I'm sorry, what?
pay an extra $3 a month to have the ability to change your own Wi-Fi password.
No.
And not
Yes.
just not just the admin password, but the general SSID password.
Yeah.
Like what's being broadcast. You
Yeah,
can't
like
change
in
that
order,
password.
if you want to change your Wi-Fi password, they said that you have to call, that you can call their support and they will change it for you. But for you to have the ability to do it yourself, you have to pay an extra $3 a month on your plan.
Now, is the default password something that's randomly generated and taped to the bottom of the
Yes.
AP? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like they have,
And it's not the most, it's not, password
Password
123 or
yeah.
anything like that. I mean, it's a randomized, I don't remember how many characters it is, but it's
That's
eight,
a racket.
8-ish, 8 to 10. Yeah, no, I agreed, and I voiced my frustration. Of course, my parents didn't understand at all why I was frustrated, so I just kind of let it go. But I did try to get around the. I was one of the. My initial thought was, this is a rural area, and so I'm like, okay, these people are trying to pull a fast one on everybody. I got this. So I hopped on a web browser, ran ipconfig, got the subnet, went to .1, nothing. Okay, all right. They think they're being fancy. They're going to use the old 254. Went to that, nothing. I ran an IP scan and couldn't find anything that like stood out as like the default gateway. And I'm like, okay, this is different. So they're doing something. They're running some kind of a proxy or something like that to where
you're telling me
you don't have direct access to
but
the
you're telling me
management
you didn't
console.
boot up your Kali Linux VM
I still haven't done
and
Kali.
run WireGuard and like sniff the
I
entire
still
like,
haven't.
traffic that's going through there. And what? You didn't put your red hat on.
No.
Put your red hat on.
I haven't got.
You wore the red shirt.
I
But you didn't
can't
wear the
decide
hat.
what red hat I want. Okay.
That's a problem.
So
when
what
I
I'm
pick out my red hat,
You
I'll
need the
I'll
red
get it.
cowboy hat. Is what you
Don't
need.
tempt me with a good time.
so what I'm hearing is that we can kiss that Usenet sponsorship goodbye.
Shh. I expect it to be burned in the trash bin
This
if
would be
it arrives.
This would be a great time to start those not a sponsor spots that we talked about. I think Ian and I at least talked about this, where it's like the
that
opposite of a sponsor. This is somebody that we wouldn't want to
That
touch with a 10-foot
sponsorship could
pole.
never work. Y'all'd have to kick me out of the room if we had that sponsorship.
It's all right. Today's sponsor is brought to you by Nathan's Black and Green Bag. It provides multiple ways for you to transport equipment or other home belongings to and from certain locations.
Matter of fact,
Sometimes it's to your vehicle. Sometimes it's to a lake that's weighed down with a bunch of weights in it that you may or may not be trying to get rid of something paraphernalia related. But hey, Nathan's Bag, buy it here at free 99.
Okay.
It's almost Mary Poppins ish. I mean, he just pulls. It's like we need something. It's like, oh, hang on a minute. He goes and grabs it out of the bag.
Oh, here's a cable.
Yeah.
Here's a
Yeah,
mic.
it's like your
Goodness.
grandma's handbag back
Here's
in the day.
a 6th chair.
I want a butterscotch. I just randomly
I-
feel like I want some butterscotch.
I have no
Right
doubt
there.
there's Werther's original in there.
There isn't, but I need to go get some now. I'm making a note of myself. I need to do that.
You need if you're gonna get the Werther's originals, you also have to get either some Mentos or some Juicy Fruit.
If you're getting
Ooh.
Mentos, you also have to get Diet Coke for an emergency.
Hey, can we just get like
Wait,
an
what
entire
would that
like
emergency be?
change? Can we get like a change request like
Mentos
started
plus
on
Diet
this
Coke?
so
Yeah,
you know
like
you
what-
can keep notes of it properly?
Oh,
I
I've-
know, but what
I've already put a
emergency
note
would
in.
you
So all you
that
need
for
to
this?
do is
Good.
bust through the space-time
drop the
continuum and
Mento
create
in,
it into like a
shake it
TARDIS,
up,
but
and
inside
throw
the
it at
TARDIS is
someone
just a
and let it
7-Eleven. That's all it needs
Okay,
to
so this is like a
7-Eleven.
like
Yeah,
I
just
kind of like
try
that idea.
okay, like in place of like a smoke bomb.
Yeah.
You have the Mento. And, okay, all right, I got
Speaking of
It's
smoke
kinda
bombs
like
and
the
changes,
Cheap Man's elephant toothpaste.
Matthew,
you. Ninja smoke.
you went on a little bit of a rant in our chat this
Oh my
week.
gosh.
Oh, we're
Why don't you go ahead and like elaborate on what may or may not have occurred?
So this is something that Ian and I were talking about on the way in of thankless job, right? Like,
What is a thankless job?
what is a thankless job? A thankless job
Hold on,
is
wait,
when
first. Hang on.
Okay.
Pause. Which chat are we talking about? The video call, or are we talking about the text
Text
chat?
chat.
Text chat.
Text chat.
Oh, if you want friendly fire, you guys made building the website a thankless job. Goodness gracious. My bedtime.
I said thank
my
you.
bedtime is
I
11. I
said
stayed up
thank
until
you
1
so
a.m.
many
for you
times.
guys. I moved every single pixel to the left at least 300 times. Okay.
And we appreciate it.
Oh, I still haven't looked at the
I
last. Hang
changed
on.
300 colors.
The new website's not live yet. We're waiting on.
I put
a
in all
SSL
that work. I
certificate to come
packaged
down.
it up. I published it to a www root folder for you.
Mhm.
I have it set up and ready to go. We could host it literally anywhere.
They looked all right.
What? Well, it helped.
Let
when
me
you
see you do better, Steven.
I
It-
don't
let
know
me see you
anything
do
about
better.
programming. You're the programmer.
Yeah, that
It
one's pretty
also helped
springy,
when we
isn't it?
finally got some
It's
of the
pretty
ladies
springy,
involved
isn't
that have actual
Pretty
talent.
fancy.
Okay,
Put your-
But when you
like-
look at the
like a Chinese finger
actual
trap you put
website,
on
the
each
only
side,
thing that was
yeah.
contributed by somebody
Just don't
that
stretch it
wasn't
too
me
far out, then
are
it
the
doesn't spring
colors
back.
and the banner. The rest of the structure was
There you
me.
But we spent the most amount of time arguing about the colors and the banner.
We spent a
colors and the
significant
banner.
And
amount
you're
of
married
time.
to a
You
graphic
somehow
We
artist.
spent a
made, like,
significant amount of
3
time
different
arguing
barbecue
about
menus,
the
the text layout
difference between
changed a few
cards and
times.
blocks of
We ended
content.
up having to like bring in. You guys are
and
doing
colors and stuff.
and
I got-
multiple colors. We brought in 2 different graphic artists on it, got their opinions. They both said the same thing. Matthew did a great job. He just needed a little bit extra direction that we weren't able to provide for him, which again, that's partially on us because look at it. Are any of us interior or graphic designers? No.
I am
Okay,
technically
so
a
what this was like,
designer.
what this was like,
Interior graphic designers.
Interior or graphic designers. That's
what this
I
was
said.
like,
There's an or
so
in
that
there.
the listeners
The
can
or was
understand
not in
my
there.
perspective.
It may have been in there.
Okay, this was like entering a roundabout, and you've got John over here saying
Listen,
take
roundabouts
the next
are
right,
difficult.
and
Okay,
you've got
some
Steven
people don't
also saying
understand that
take
they
the next
they
right.
go in circles.
But one of them means the next right, as in the immediate next right, and the other one means the right
no, but
after the next
that's
right.
right. That's right. Is it this right or the other right?
Who-
Because
who's
there's
the
2
English?
rights.
This is what
And
it
they
was.
somehow make a
And
left.
so we ended up
English
just
actor
circling
that-
around the roundabout
Mr.
for
Bean,
way
is
too
that what I'm
long
thinking
until
of?
we
Yeah,
finally
yeah,
found
I
a
like
right
When he
way
was
to
sitting
circling
do it.
on
around
top of his
roundabouts.
car
It's
and he was
fun.
having to like
You
operate
get
the
it,
you
thing
get
with a
out, you're
broomstick
done.
and a
Have you ever
brick.
done it before?
I'm not
No.
thinking about that.
Just
I'm
not
thinking
taking
about
it to the
whenever he's in,
exit?
I think,
No.
You should try it sometime.
France or
I-
something.
It's
I
very
still-
liberating.
I have a
The-
destination in
the
mind.
roundabout to take it out.
Anyway, the website looks really good now. We appreciate all
Thank
the work you guys provided. Nathan, thank you for bringing in another professional. Matthew, thank you for allowing me to call your wife in and get some additional advice.
HostilityInTheMorning.com. HostilityInTheMorning.com. Hopefully, it will be live by the time this episode
It
goes
will be live by the time this one goes live. We have plenty of time. Yes, I'm just waiting. Cloudflare, I'm having issues with you.
Steven's raising his hand.
Go ahead, Steven.
Are you
Wait,
so
why
you
were
said
you using Cloudflare?
you said you published it.
Because
It's the
name.com
same
was
link
an
that we
issue
were
with
looking
Meta
at
SSL, so I put
during
a
the
proxy into
conversation,
Cloudflare
correct?
So I can
Yeah, that's
attach
updated.
the
So
new
the banner
web
shows
That
host
is
and our
updated.
current web
Really?
host together
That's
and proxy it
updated.
both,
That's
both
the
ways.
current-
So whenever they try and come back down,
Shift
if
F5.
like one of the hosts is down,
that
they
do?
still have
It
access.
clears
to the
your
site, so we
cache
have
and
some
downloads the
redundancy
site
there.
again.
And a little bit
Ah.
of load balancing. That's why.
Why is
She'll
Bash
try it
not
out.
in color?
No, we decided
You
to do
weren't
that.
there for this.
You
don't
could have
get
been
to
on that
say.
6-hour
That was a
call.
whole nother.
And
yeah,
yes, it was
true.
6 hours.
It was.
It was 6 hours.
Is
Yeah,
Matt,
I had children to take.
We should have
care of. I'm
recorded
very
that.
glad
That
I
would have been
didn't.
great. That would have
It
been
would've
quality
been-
content.
It would have been something.
Just release like 15-minute snippets at a time.
oh god, no! Don't use
Of
what
us
is
just
this?
yelling at each other. You're saying it's not a barbecue menu, and over here we're just saying it kind of is.
It kind of was.
Yeah. So as a side note, I'm not arguing with that. I thought it was cool though. As a side note, the screenshot that I sent of it working was from Edge, so it was a Chromium browser that I used.
Okay. Yeah, if you can just give me the most updated package that you have, then I'll get that.
This is another tirade I want to go on because you guys were dunking on me for using Firefox.
We
all
never
right?
even got to
No,
your
no, no,
first
no.
tirade.
Everybody, we'll get back to that. Everybody talks about how, oh, well, you need to build for Chrome, right? Chrome is the standard. Chrome is the what you need to use. And all
Because
that
that has the largest user base and the amount of things
if
that are
it's an
Chromium
objectively
based.
bad standard,
It
why are
doesn't
we
matter.
supporting it?
It doesn't because it
Because
has
we
the
want an
largest
audience.
user
Stupid.
base.
We
It's
want an
the
audience.
Stupid. Why
It's
do they
a
get to
standard.
determine
Why
what
do-
the standard is?
Why do people wear socks with holes in them? It's a dumb thing, but people do it.
We're not big enough to reset the standard. That is a goal, but we're not there yet.
Firefox is great. You are correct. However, it's still a minority
WebKit
compared
is
to
better
Chrome.
than Chromium.
That's an even smaller minority.
I accept that. But that's the
You
thing.
have to code and have it work on all of them. You can't be selective and
that's-
just go, I only want it to work on Firefox,
That's-
so we coded it only for Firefox,
That's-
and you open it on Chrome. Oh my gosh, it doesn't look right.
That's
Nothing
harder to
operates.
do than you think it is.
I understand this, but it still has to function.
We're going right back to the days of Internet Explorer way faster than I would like with Chrome.
We were never going to leave that. That was always
No, Chrome
yeah,
is turning
a
into the
dream
new
that was
Internet
never gonna
Explorer.
happen.
What do you mean turning into? It already has been. It's been
Chrome
this.
actually works.
Yes.
It does to an extent.
No,
But
It's
like we
so
saw
much
with
better
the
than
like we
Six.
saw
I
with
am
the
an
website.
exclusive Chrome user. I am an exclusive.
I don't think that's something to be proud of.
Unapologetically.
As someone
I
who-
don't even have
as
Chrome on
someone
my
I have
who
no
literally
problems with Chrome.
uses
I don't know why people
7
complain
different
about it
web
so much.
browsers every single day.
Which I don't think is something to be proud of either.
I have to for my
You
job.
guys are just like listing off terrible habits, and you guys
no,
are
no,
jumping into the
this isn't
terrible
a terrible
user bucket
This is
when it
not.
comes to
This is a
browsers.
requirement for my job because I have to work in so many different tenants. You cannot have multiple tenants open in a single browser. It's not
Open
possible.
up
Per
private
individual-
windows for every single
No,
thing.
you can't anymore.
You can't.
do that
It
anymore.
shares the session.
Yeah, you
It
can't.
shares the session
per
with
internet
two.
per internet browser.
You
just
probably
in
have to bleep
general,
that.
In general,
No, you don't.
in general, per internet browser, you can only have like what he's doing. You could have 2 tenants, and that's it.
And
You have one for the
incognito
regular,
still
one for
tracks
the incognito.
everything that you do. It just doesn't log it in the same way.
So
No,
this has been a
why
thing
don't
for
you
a long
why don't
time.
you have a sandbox
there's
browser
actually
then
a
at that
class
point?
action lawsuit on Incognito
Yeah, John, why
mode
don't you have a
right now about
sandbox
it.
browser?
Why would I
Jeez.
have a sandbox browser?
Each browser window is its own instance.
No, it's
It doesn't matter. It still shares the
No,
session.
that's what I'm
between
saying.
both.
That's what I'm saying. Is why wouldn't you have a sandbox browser? I don't know exactly how
Because-
you do that or what supports that,
because
but I would
ha-
imagine that exists, where each window is its own separate.
I mean, if you
instance and
built
not
your own one
shared.
from scratch, sure.
Next
Yeah,
task
John,
for
why
you,
haven't you
Matthew.
not built your own browser from scratch?
let's
Jeez,
use the
I'm,
developer.
what's
I'm
wrong
the
with
one
you?
over here who spent
I
2
will.
weeks.
I will research this. Put
If
it in the show notes. I'll research this.
If you want to, great. If not, I will continue using my 7 individual browsers on how I currently manage the tenants that I'm in every single day.
well, you shouldn't have to open up 7 different browsers.
Yes, I do. It's a
No,
requirement.
I
now.
understand that that's what you do right now, but what I'm saying is that there should be a way to sandbox each window.
No, it lets me have.
You're running Windows. Why don't you open a sandbox for each browser?
He's running out of RAM as it is.
That's one reason.
I mean, that would get around having to use different browsers for different things. You'd at least
No,
have
'cause-
one browser that you can use for everything.
Because how it caches your
It's-
it's because how it caches your session to the local machine. I do not fundamentally think.
But if
it
you
would
open it up in a Windows sandbox, if you're telling me that the Windows sandbox shares the
inside Windows,
instance, that
I
doesn't
have
make
a
sense.
cheap HP laptop.
But what version of Windows is it running?
It's Windows 11. No,
Home
it's
or
Windows
Pro?
10 still. It's Windows 10
Home
still.
or Pro?
Pro.
Then it should have the sandboxing.
Yes, but the sandbox uses a lot of resources between both sessions. I don't have the. This is not a full-fledged workstation.
Let
sir.
me look this up. What's
Well-
your favorite browser?
John, while he's doing that, what browsers do you use? Because I'm only getting to 5.
Chrome, Edge, Brave. I
Brave,
use
okay.
Opera, Opera GX. I use to have Safari. Safari's now dead to me
I
because
guess
it
I
doesn't
didn't
work
realize
anymore.
Opera and Opera GX were separate because
They
I
were
was-
actually 2 different applications on there.
okay. So Brave and GX were technically the ones that I was missing.
What else do I have? Because I already said Edge. What else do I have on there? There's 2 other like weird ones that I recently put on there that got recommended to you by another coworker. I honestly don't remember the
Is
names.
Dolphin browser still a thing?
Dolphin is still a thing, which I have an installer on there. It's not actually installed at the moment. I kind of
You don't use DuckDuckGo?
I have DuckDuckGo.
I
DuckDuckGo
use
is one that I
DuckDuckGo.
use. There's one other. I just
I
can't
didn't
remember.
realize
off
they
the top
had
of
a
my head.
browser. I thought it was just a search engine.
Oh no,
No, it
they
has
have
its
an
own, it has
application
its own
now.
app.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, web developer now in Firefox. I'm getting an unhandled error has
Firefox.
occurred.
Unhandled error for what?
It literally just says an unhandled error has occurred.
For
The site.
the website, our website. The
That's
thing
all
that
it
he's
says.
showing you.
Does that say 100%?
Yes.
It's a 100% error.
Did you try
I know that was
reloading
a
the
thing.
page? Did you try turning it on and off again?
Twice.
Okay, so we can deal with the website later.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
look
I
this up later. Sandboxing, you can't tell me that somebody hasn't created that in a relatively.
I'm
I
sure,
don't know.
I'm sure somebody
friendly
that's been
manner.
on the free forums for 15 days straight and is like 100 monsters deep has done it. Yeah.
Look, and then you're asking out of my current already insanely busy work schedule to try and set something up. Like, I just don't. It was so much faster for me to be able to do my job and work on the projects that I do to just have tons of browsers on my PC than it is to try and figure out how to sandbox this session on a machine that's already running at 100% day in and day out.
John just needs
Part of
virtual
that's your
machines
own
for
reason
everything.
because you
I
had
literally
120
need
tabs
a
open.
proper like production workstation. Like
Yeah.
what you use for all of your sandboxing and your in like a coder's machine is what I actually need to operate out of the cloud.
I like how
because
you said coder's machine. We talked about this, where I'm running like just an i5 and 16 gig of RAM, and I get by just fine.
Okay, let's put a pin in this. We can use this for content for next episode because apparently somebody has some research to do.
Users are stupid.
And somebody has a story to tell that he started on
In
and then
general.
completely derailed himself.
Which story is this that I'm supposed to be talking about?
The one we
dumb
talked
users
about in
and
the text.
notifications.
Dumb users and notifications. Oh, yeah. Okay.
My
So-
God.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. So
Do you see what I have to deal with here, people?
as vaguely as I can do this, the general gist of the situation was I had set an application to go down for maintenance, right? And so one of the new things in this particular application was that there would be a banner that shows up at the top. It's not the biggest banner in the world, but it's big enough that says, "Hey, this application is going down for maintenance at this time," right?
Are you sure it's scaled properly?
It definitely didn't have the text in the right
I'm
place.
sorry, I
though.
couldn't resist.
The text was where the
Continue.
text was, all right?
That's fine. But all the way to the left, people don't look all the way to the left.
Keep
When
in
you're
mind,
operating a browser, you're looking in the middle.
The screenshot that I had was on my 16 by 10 monitor, right? And this is a 1440p monitor. The average monitor where I work is like 1080p at best.
Yeah, but 16 by 10, you only get extra pixels.
Extra pickles.
Extra
I want
pickles.
them extra pickles with my computer monitor.
It's on, it's height based. It's on
well,
the
16 by 10 is length.
six.
No, 16 by 10 is height,
It's
but the
height.
length, the
It's
the
height.
aspect ratio
The
is wider.
the big number is the width.
It's taller. It's
the
not
little-
wider.
the little numbers.
16 by 9 is standard. 16 by 10, it's a slightly taller display. It's not wider.
Yeah, but in
The
most,
width stays the same. The height is what changes. That's it.
yes.
16 by 9 is like a 5'8" fat person, and 16
I
by
will-
10
I
is
will
like
have
a
to pull up
5'10"
screenshots to
fat
demonstrate
person.
what I mean, because there is a significant difference between 16 by 9 and 16 by 10, especially 1440p and 1080p.
Well, since I operate
but anyway,
between
I
don't know.
digress. This particular user told me that the going down for maintenance message was not sufficient, and that I should have notified said user ahead of time that things were going down for maintenance.
Ah, the old communication argument.
Yes. Yes. And so this was very confusing to me. Like, I can kind of see where said user was coming from, but at the same time, it doesn't make a lot of sense in the greater context because
Did y'all not send out a memo?
don't get me started on that.
Oh, we're gonna get you started on. Don't worry.
Don't get me started on that.
Let's-
So I
we'll
like
let you finish the story first.
That's the gist of the story. Is I was told that, oh, well, this standardized message that notifies me when stuff is going down. Well, I probably couldn't see the message because I had too many windows open on my desktop. That was kind of the excuse that I was given.
But
And
they're
so-
they're working out of that web page, but they can't see the message because they have also other windows open
yes.
while they're still actively working
Benefit
in that web
of
page.
the doubt. benefit of the doubt, if they had a dialogue on the page open or something like that, there could have been an instance where the message was showing and they were working in the page long enough in a
Okay.
way that they wouldn't have seen it, but that's not the excuse that I was given. It was, well, that's not a reliable way of doing this.
Okay, which I provided a solution, but
I like the solution.
it's a good solution, but we're going to expand upon it. Okay, not only this, so you have
Explain the solution first,
okay. The current solution
because
is
the listeners need the context.
they have to. What's going to happen is, hey, maintenance window is coming up, so you're going to get a pop up on your screen with just a text box going, hey, maintenance is happening at this time at this date, and then they need to hit a checkbox basically saying like when you're agreeing to like terms and conditions, they have to say, okay, I accept. When they hit I accept, it immediately takes them to a CAPTCHA page. They have to complete a CAPTCHA. And once they complete the CAPTCHA, then the dialog box goes away. However, we can take this much further to ensure. So that's what you do just on the first alert, right? Because you have to make sure you give proper notice. Typically, when a maintenance site is going to go down, you have to have a minimum of a 2 to 3 day window, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to give 7. 7 is plenty. So on the first day, that's what they get. Halfway through until that maintenance window, you're going to do the CAPTCHA. Then 1 times after that, you're going to have the second CAPTCHA where you have to have the tiles slide around for you to complete the picture, right?
I hate those.
Okay. So they have to do the checkbox, the first CAPTCHA, then the second CAPTCHA. Okay. The last day, there's a site out there that is a game built for you to build the strongest password possible. I want you to integrate that
Yes!
site into it where you type in the password.
So-
then you have to include like an uppercase letter, then a number, then like the date, then like your first kin, and it ends up you somehow playing GeoGuessr and Wordle and things of that nature.
So
They have to get through all of this just to clear the dialog box, just so they know, hey, maintenance is happening
if
at
I
this
were
time.
if I were to do something annoying right off the bat that would be simple to implement, I would, especially since this is a time-based thing, right? I would probably set it up to where the dialogue pops up, and to clear the dialogue, what you have to do is type in the date and time that it's going down for maintenance. But if you get it wrong, it changes the format that you have to type it in every single time.
Ooh,
I
I
love
like
this
that.
idea.
I like
is a
that.
good
So we'll
idea.
just cycle through different formats.
Wait, hold on.
There is no
All right,
date
y'all-
picker. There's
y'all
no
tell
time
me-
picker. You have to type it in.
I'm sure it is, but
Make sure you use UTC.
y'all tell me that this is a
Yes.
thing that can be done. Could you have the dialog box, but functionally with coding and your wizardry and such within the dialog box, you could make that a standalone? It basically is it possible that just within that dialog box, not on their operating system, not on their computer, but just within that dialog box that they're seeing, that they're interacting with, could you inject the Goose program
I knew this is exactly where you
so
were
that
going.
it has just a button? It just says click to accept. But when the
No.
dialog box is opened, the
Even
Goose
better.
program runs
No,
No, no, no.
even
and it
even
tries
better.
to steal
If-
your pointer.
If before they try doing that, because you're gonna give them a little red X at the top,
Yeah.
or just a little X. If they hit the X, that's what executes the code to deploy the Goose.
The Goose
So-
deploys, it grabs their pointer immediately, and it chases it
If
around
I do
the
this,
screen.
I would have one caveat that I would want to make sure is implemented: is that screen recorders and screenshots cannot capture the Goose. So when they're trying to contact the help desk, they're like, "There's a
Yeah.
goose that is on my screen
It
that is moving my cursor."
It
and clicking on
immediately
stuff."
it,
They
it
can't
also
capture it.
it disables the print screen.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
this.
I like this plan. This is a good plan.
I like the show notes, Nathan. This is very
They're
entertaining.
good notes.
I do actually really like the idea of going through the EULA thing on it and making them like check a box that says, by checking this box, I confirm or I consent to this
The
contract. that
you
I
mean the
cannot-"
passive aggressive plausible deniability?
Yeah,
I like
but
it.
on EULAs it says something about I accept the terms and conditions of this, whatever. It in that spot it would say something something like I accept the terms of this contract, and that's it. Well, in the contract it says I am not allowed to complain.
Yeah, because in reality, like, because do you guys have a marketing department where you're at?
Yes.
If they could just send you over an example like privacy statement or a privacy clause, for you to write your EULA, you just have to base it off of that. You just put that in the text box and then just fill it with whatever nonsense you want of their agreement to it, and then you're done. So now you have plausible deniability and you have consent.
I would
all
add
into
I
one.
would add an additional caveat that these additional annoyance features, like this is something that it's probably a good thing that I'm not in charge, because I, at least as far as like the dialogue and typing stuff in, Like that sounds reasonable to me. The only difference is I would probably put it in so that there's a whitelist or a blacklist, something like that, to where there is a list of users that they're the ones that are greeted with this. Not everybody, because if there's a good user, you don't want to punish the good users,
Right.
right? But if there's a bad user,
No,
It's the Santa list.
maybe
actually-
maybe we like
yeah, I love this because it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's the naughty nice list because somebody is
Ooh.
eventually going to get moved from the good list
Ooh.
to the bad list, and they're going to be like, wait, why is this suddenly doing this? And that's when the goose hits.
Do you guys have to log into that portal?
yes, yeah.
So
have to
you
be
not only
authenticated.
do
So
you
this
know
that's
there's
a feasible thing.
I
Is I
was
could have a list set up.
you have all the session IDs.
Yeah.
It's incredibly easy.
There's
then.
no way I would get any of this approved, but it's a fun idea.
This would still
There's
be
a lot of
this
things
would
that
be
don't get
something
approved,
good
but
at
we
least to
still
put
do.
on your guys' roadmap. Just on the change request, just put it on the roadmap of updating the maintenance notifications,
Mhm.
and then just link the document of all these ideas and
Well,
just see what happens.
So as far as stuff that is reasonable to include, one of the things that I set up was a timed dialogue. So there's a dialogue shows up, you can't escape out of it. There is no close button. The close button is delayed, so we can set however many seconds we want on it. I haven't run into an instance where we want minutes yet, right? I think the only instance that we used it was like 15 seconds. But that's something that we can use, and that's something that I would use in this situation where you can't just have a dialogue pop up and then you're in the middle of typing and you enter or something and it goes away. So you just have this random dialogue pop up. No, you have to sit there and wait. And that's where that I think is
I hate those.
I could sell somebody on that. I could also probably sell at least my team on the naughty list side of things, where we maybe increase the timer just a little bit if we get a lot of complaints that, oh, I didn't get a heads up. Well, we'll make sure that you get a heads up.
and I guarantee I can solve your banner issue right now. Is start the banner the same size you already have. As that day comes closer to the maintenance window, make sure that banner continues to grow in size, especially the font size, so they can't miss it. It's not possible to miss.
That's something that I think I could easily do based on the percentage of time left,
Yeah.
right? So when it was put in versus what time it is now, how close we are to it.
Now, to be fair, just to be fair, and I get what y'all are doing, like what the purpose of the banner. It's people are going to that and using it on a regular basis, and so you put the banner to they're going to be using it anyway, so it's their, hey, this is happening on this day. But to be fair, because this is also not difficult at all, do you send an email out to the staff letting them know the same thing?
Not yet, and that's part of this initiative.
It would be
is
super easy to
setting it up
send
so
an
that
email
we
to a
can-
distribution group and just say, hey, we're doing maintenance on this part of the
So
site
for
on this
most
day.
of these things, we don't have a distribution group available, or I don't have the
Okay,
option of
that's a
sending
problem.
to the distribution group. So to back up a little bit, because you and I talked about this on the way in, the previous process, the way that things were supposed to work, right, and actually how they work in reality are usually two different things. How things were supposed to work is, at bare minimum, you notify the help desk of, hey, this site is going down at this time. If any users have any issues, refresh the page, should be fine. Because usually that's all that it takes. Is the updates are fast enough. IIS is good enough to where the app restarts, they refresh their connection, they're fine, right? So it was kind of backwards a little bit, where you tell the help desk what's going to happen and then kind of leave them with the fallout, instead of what we're trying to do now, where we are notifying the users. And then in addition to that, we can kick off a few other things. So like in your example, per application, we could have a list set up of, here's the current users of the application, like whoever set up as an admin or something like that. We could
like
have
this
it
certain
send an
department may
email
be
to them.
affected
Yeah.
by this particular
Yeah.
change. So
This
we're gonna,
particular user, I guarantee you, we send an email, they wouldn't see it
oh no, and
until
now,
after the
no,
fact.
that being said, like
Yeah.
I'm not saying this in a way that's against your point, because no, I'm very familiar with users that just will not acknowledge communications. Like it's just,
And that's the
never
thing,
gonna
is
happen.
the
But
interrupting
for you-
dialogue, I think, is a great idea. So
Yeah.
points to John for that, because that's something that they can't ignore.
But again, yeah, but just for that level of not plausible deniability, but just immunity of like, hey, I have the sent email right here where we sent it. There's your email address, or you're a member of this group. You got the email.
Mhm.
I can go talk to the IT team and they can pull the email logs. It went to your inbox, so you can sit here and say you didn't get it all day long. That just means you don't pay attention to your email, and that's a bigger problem in and of itself.
Mhm.
That's the only purpose that I see in adding that step.
Well,
Hold
and
on,
that's
whether it's
the thing,
necessary
is that
or
we
not.
have
Hold
the
on, hold on.
framework
What
so
are you
we can
talking
kick
about?
off stuff like
What-
that.
Yeah,
What do you mean pay attention to your email's not important.
obviously not.
Email is for a filing system only. You only keep important documents in there, and you bloat
And
it to the
passwords.
largest
Yep,
side you
yep.
possibly.
But
Yeah,
that's what
plain
your
text.
passwords.
downloads folder is also for.
No,
Your
no,
inbox
it's
and your
recycle bin.
downloads folder. that's
Downloads
it.
folder is like an archive.
No, the recycle bin's the archive.
Did
Did you never empty it?
So yeah, I think that's and this is
I-
something that I'll probably have to talk to my boss about a little bit of
'Cause
what do we
there-
want to do.
There's a very easy, clean solution in there that you just need to add a little bit more user interactive to that entire maintenance alert to them, so they're at least more engaging with when that's occurring. So you guys now have the ammo to go, hey, when someone says, "Oh, I had no idea maintenance was happening," you were notified multiple times in this exact way. You were not paying attention, or you're lying to me. Which again, we can never accuse a user of lying, but we can definitely say.
But we know it's happening.
But we definitely can provide a some feedback to whoever their manager is to them regarding, hey, you know, this user complained about this. This is what we provided to them. Here's the solutions that we offered. If you can please, you know, have a conversation with that end user so they're more aware of what these dialogue boxes are, how they're being utilized, and just be a little more purposeful in when they're doing that level of work, to be mindful of these windows so they don't end up having to redo any work that may have been lost.
Because this is the like the one a core issue that, I mean, you see it, we see it. Anybody that works within the technical realm of an organization, or deals with the technical infrastructure, especially, is we know and we see, because of we know the repercussions, that this stuff, those sites that you manage, the infrastructure that we manage within IT, that is the business or the organization. We live in the 21st century. The business and the organization doesn't function without these things.
Mhm.
And on any given day when they're working, oh, they're just, it's menial. It's like, it's just the thing. It does the stuff and it just works and it's whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter that much. Oh, but as soon as that thing goes down, as soon as it's not functional for just a moment, all hell breaks loose. And it's like, oh my, we have to have the email. We have to have this site. We have to. I was planning on doing this at this time on this day, and it has to work right now because, but boy, that sounds that sounds very important. It sounds like almost, imperative that it is. But yesterday you were not giving it a second thought. Yesterday it was just, as important
Business
as
as usual.
taking trash out. It wasn't anything. It was like about as important as going and buying paper towels. But now all of a sudden today that it's not working.
You're buying toilet paper at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, I mean it's just, but that's the paradox that we live within constantly, and it baffles me that it's so hard
I think-
to get that across to
Yeah.
normal people. Like it's like you have to beat it into their skulls that it's like, do you not realize this email, especially email, like, unfortunately, is one of the most important functions of any business or organization, period. Because as we see, if it doesn't work for 2 minutes, my God, the world may as well be burning down.
I don't pay attention to my email.
I thankfully
You're a
don't get
niche
I
case.
don't get enough email to
I am
really
a
worry
niche
about
case.
it.
Oh,
But
I-
that's for
I got a
that's because of effort to make
yeah,
that.
I
the way it is.
average,
Single one of
like,
them was
not
an
including our
alert
main
that does
support
not
email
matter to
that
me.
comes
I
in.
hate those. It's called
I
email
still get
rules,
something like between
Oh, no, they
30
did-
and 100
I-
emails a day.
I don't get pinged on them.
So
Oh,
I,
no.
go to
I
a-
constantly
No, no,
have to
no.
watch it. It's
No, I
bad.
get
That's
maybe
how
like
many there
3
were.
to 5 that I have to actually respond to, and that's a busy day.
Yeah.
Like on a
No.
regular day, it's like 1 or 2.
Well, talking about busy days, Nathan,
Yo.
where can the people find us?
So there are multiple places that you can find us. The primary place that we will point you to at the moment is hostilityinthemorning.substack.com. That is kind of our hub, if you will. You can also find us on YouTube. I recommend at this point searching by @hostility in the morning.
I
It should
actually
be,
got
the
it.
URL is
I actually got it to work.
youtube.com /@ hostility in the morning.
Yeah,
That is
actually,
correct,
if
yeah.
you go to the search in YouTube, I got it to, if you just type in hostility in the morning, all no spaces, just all hostility in the morning, it will come up in search. You don't have to do the @
Or if you just do Hostility in the Morning podcast, it'll pop up. That's what I did earlier.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
So there's multiple ways.
Hey, we're getting better. The algorithm is, well, probably still doesn't
The
know.
invisible
By the time this
magic.
episode is out, you can probably go to hostilityinthemorning.com and get links to all the socials.
You can also find us on Apple Podcasts. Hopefully, by the time this airs, we'll also be on Google Podcasts and Spotify and the rest.
How is
we've-
Spotify going?
So I do find it ironic that we've already opened up service tickets to both Apple, which that has been quote unquote resolved, and then it works just in a really dumb way. And we are also now waiting to hear back from Substack because apparently part of their sync with
Not a sync. We found a DKIM domain issue with Substack to Spotify that their domain team has to resolve.
What's a DKIM?
John,
Oh,
how
good
do you
Lord.
do this? They just they're attracted to you.
Yeah, it's
So
look,
we'll have
if
to have a
you
full
want-
AAR after this is done.
Yes.
Okay, we'll
If-
record it. We'll throw it out there for everybody. This is how you handle.
for a small fee, I will come in. If you just want an outside party to come in and just see how well your guys' software or backend
Or not.
operates,
He
let me
literally
have my
just
hands on
walks
it.
in the door and it breaks.
no. We didn't waltz in the door. We literally walked up, knocked on it, and said, "Hey, can you let us in?"
And it just disintegrated.
And they were just like, "Oh, we don't know why we can't let you in. Like it doesn't work." I'm like, "Oh, this
DEFCON
is
1,
why."
the building's on fire. You know,
I will say though, if
Secret
the
vampire.
trend continues, Substack's support is fantastic. Now, we're not fixed yet, but at least so far, it's been one of the best support experiences I've ever had. So hopefully this remains.
Substack, good job.
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably best you handle those tickets because as soon as we get a bad one, let me have them.
Everyone is going to know when I am just done when I hand it over to John because it's going to take
That's fair.
a lot.
He'd probably hand it over to me before he handed it over to John.
That's true. I am the
Probably.
nuclear option.
I'd hand it to you. I'd hand it to Matthew. I'd hand it to Ian. And
in
then,
that order.
So
That
what-
would probably be you,
It
Then
depends
you
on the
Ian,
issue.
then me,
So
then Jonathan.
my basic
We'd
philosophy.
hand it to Scout before we hand it to Jonathan.
My
That's-
basic philosophy in life, when it comes to certain people that I work with, John being one of them, is the famous line. Well, I don't know how famous it is, but it should be famous. Of Batman in Batman Begins, and he's on the train with Ra's al Ghul, and he tells Ra's, "I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you either," or something along those lines. John is my. I
John
don't
is the
have to-
train.
John is the
John is
John is the train. The support is Raish, and I don't have to say I don't have to kill Raish, but I don't have to save him either.
Yeah, I do kind of have a reputation.
This can go one of two ways.
Trust me, you want to deal with me.
You can help, or
That is
you can
completely
talk to my
fair.
friend. You
Yeah.
don't want the second one.
No, again, I have
but he is mighty.
just somehow have this habit or this way of how I present things that just cause very important meetings with very important people to occur due to poor support issues.
Jonathan has a very come at you like a spider monkey vibe about
Okay,
him.
going back to the Cox Tech that I was talking about earlier. You shush. You literally
Back to the Cox film.
You literally told this lady, listen, if you don't take me to the next level and get me some actual support, I'm just gonna command line into this thing, and it was immediate that we got better help.
It was true.
I'm pretty sure there are many people at Cox Internet that hate.
Oh, I know for a
You.
fact
Yeah.
on both the business and
You
the,
are probably on a list there.
No, I know I am.
And-
I know my account is. Why? Because one of the reps that I called when I had an internet outage here told me. Because it was notated on the account that,
Yeah.
and quote,
Hostile.
it didn't say hostile, but can be difficult.
Oh, that's rather nice of them.
That's
actually.
very
That
polite.
is. I wasn't very polite to them, during that moment where they said, "Oh no, it's expected for you to have no internet for 5 days and you work from home."
We should also note that we will never be sponsored by GoDaddy.
That's
I know for a fact
It's
I'm also on a list there.
Can we add GoDaddy to our list of non-sponsors?
Yes, that is
Yes.
that is.
We need to
that
start
is
building this list, and we need to have a dedicated section to each of them.
of reasons why they're not sponsors.
Yes,
Oh, it's gonna take a long.
not a
time
sponsor.
to
I want to
remember.
add.
No,
I want to
just
add
do the
Bluehost to
five
that
b-
too.
The 5 worst things.
to what now? You
Bluehost. I don't have Bluehost. That's a story for another time. I'll save that because that's a
Okay.
rant.
Speaking of other times,
Is it time?
it is.
Thank you for listening to the Hostility Morning Podcast. I've been your host, John, joined here today by
Nathan?
Matthew.
Ian.
And me, Steven.
you, Steven. Are you sure?
Today I am.
Stefan.
Well, Steven,
No.
He's
always
Stefan now.
remember to have a hostile morning.